The restaurant was buzzing with laughter, the clinking of glasses, and the comforting aroma of grilled steak. It was one of those evenings when people came to celebrate, to forget their troubles, and to feel, even for a moment, that the world was safe and ordinary. But safety shattered in an instant. 3 men, loud, restless, and clearly looking for trouble, stood up from a corner table. Their eyes locked on a woman seated across the room. She wasn't just any woman, she was Victoria Hayes, one of the youngest CEOs in the city, known for her fearless leadership and billion-dollar empire. Tonight, however, she wasn't at the head of a boardroom, she was just a woman trying to have dinner with her assistant. The men approached, their voices dripping with menace. One sneered, "Looks like the Queen eats with commoners too." Another leaned closer, whispering something crude that made Victoria's face pale. Then, without warning, one of them grabbed her arm. The restaurant fell silent. Forks froze halfway to mouths. Eyes widened, but no one moved. No one, except one man. From a table by the window, a broad-shouldered man stood up, his posture steady but calm. He wasn't wearing a suit or polished shoes. His clothes were simple, his hands calloused, his face weathered. But his presence, quiet, controlled, powerful, shifted the air. His name was Daniel Cole. A single dad. A Navy veteran. And in the next 15 seconds, he would change everything. He crossed the room with the quiet precision of a man who had seen chaos before and knew exactly how to dismantle it. His voice was steady, but it carried weight. "Let her go." The men turned, smirking. "And who's gonna make us?" one sneered. Daniel didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. In one swift, fluid movement, he pulled the first man's hand off Victoria and pinned it behind his back. The second man lunged, but Daniel sidestepped, using the man's own weight to send him stumbling across a table. The third man froze. Hesitation flashing in his eyes, before Daniel's gaze locked on him with such unshakable calm that he backed away without a fight. It was over. 15 seconds. No shouting. No unnecessary violence. Just controlled, precise action. The restaurant erupted in applause. People pulled out phones, capturing the scene, whispering in awe, "Who is he?" But Daniel wasn't there for applause. He turned to Victoria, steadying her trembling hand. "Are you all right, ma'am?" he asked softly. Victoria nodded, though her voice shook. "Yes, thank you." For most, the story would have ended there, a hero stepping in, saving the day, and disappearing back into anonymity. But life doesn't always follow neat endings. Because that night, Victoria Hayes's world and Daniel Cole's world collided in a way neither expected. Later, as the restaurant cleared, Victoria asked him to sit for a moment. Her eyes still carried the weight of what had happened, but there was also curiosity. "You didn't even hesitate." "Why?" Daniel shifted uncomfortably. He wasn't used to attention. "Ma'am, when you've been through war zones, you learn that hesitation costs lives. I wasn't about to let something bad happen in front of me, not if I could stop it." Her gaze softened. "You've served." "Yes, Navy. 15 years. Got out when my wife passed. My little girl needed me more than the military did." The simplicity in his tone struck her deeper than the bravado of any powerful man she'd met in boardrooms. He wasn't bragging. He was simply living truth. "Your daughter," she asked gently, "how old is she?" 7, he replied, a small smile breaking through. "Smart as a whip. She keeps me grounded. Everything I do now, I do for her." For a moment, Victoria forgot she was a CEO, forgot the weight of her empire. She was just a woman listening to a father speak with raw, unshakable love. The next morning, the incident was everywhere. Headlines screamed, "Navy veteran saves CEO in dramatic restaurant attack." Clips of Daniel's swift action went viral. People hailed him as a hero. But when reporters found him, he waved them off. "I'm not a hero," he said. "I'm just a dad who did what needed to be done." Yet for Victoria, he was more than that. He was a reminder of something money, power, and status often overshadowed: humanity. So, she did something unexpected. She called him. "Daniel, I need your help," she said over the phone. He chuckled. "I don't think you're going to be attacked in another restaurant, ma'am." "It's not that," she replied. "I run a company where people often forget what really matters. Integrity. Compassion. Courage. I want you to come speak to my team. Not as a soldier. Not as a hero. But as a father. As someone who understands what it means to protect and to care without expecting anything in return." Daniel hesitated. He wasn't used to boardrooms or speeches. But he thought of his daughter, of teaching her that courage isn't about medals, it's about choices. And so, he agreed. A week later, he stood in front of one of the most powerful companies in the country. Suits filled the room, eyes skeptical at first. But as Daniel spoke, not about war, not about fighting, but about fatherhood, sacrifice, and kindness, the skepticism melted. "I've seen men at their strongest, and I've seen them at their weakest," he said. "But true strength, true courage, is standing up when you could stay silent. It's choosing to care, even when the world tells you it's not your problem." That night at the restaurant, I didn't see a CEO. I saw a woman in danger. And I'd want someone to do the same for my little girl if she were ever in her shoes. The room was silent. Not a cough. Not a shuffle. Just silence, the kind that comes when truth settles deep into hearts. Victoria, seated in the front row, felt tears sting her eyes. For years, she'd been praised for her ambition, her intelligence, her wealth. But in that moment,